Now I'm going to ask all those who went to Camp Hope to come up, and we're going to share a little bit about Camp Hope. Yeah, Lord, that includes you. And all those who, it started out, I think we've got, this is the Camp Hope picture. And of course, camp started for us on July 1st, which was Sunday, but really it started on Saturday. We had a group of men. If you're part of those group of men that either went up on Saturday or came up on Tuesday and took down the tabernacle, would you stand, please? And I want to give all these men a round of applause. Because the heat both those days was hot. The heat was hot both those days. And, when they came into the chapel, especially on Tuesday, and I could see Larry and Teresa and Kenny and Ralph all come in, now where's the water? Where's the water? I'm like, there, we got 3 buckets, go, go, go. But it was just amazing to see as that tabernacle went up. And I think we've got a shot there. So this is what it looked like. So when everybody would drive into camp, whether they were part of our age group, the 5 to 10-year-olds, or the older group, 11 to 15-year-olds, they could see this tabernacle set up and had an opportunity to talk with the other speaker for the older camp. And, all our group got a chance to go there, and Miss Lori will tell you a little bit about the tabernacle tours and those kinds of things. But really, I'm going to go ahead and have Scott, if you want to go through the next couple of pictures. So this was our chapel time. And actually, I'll stop turning around and come over this way. This was our chapel time, and it was just a great opportunity. I said earlier, you wondered, how did Pastor play such a part? Well, he played such a part in every chapel because he prepared the lessons, and then he prepared me to go give the lessons, gave me PowerPoints to do, wrote some of the songs we sang. So even though Pastor wasn't there with us physically, he was there with us in spirit, and everything, even some of the kids, I forgot to share with you, Pastor, a couple of kids remembered that you'd been there the last couple of years, and they wanted to send their prayers and best wishes for you to recover as well. And it was just amazing to see that they could remember. Now, they didn't always remember his name, but, the older guy that's been here the last couple of years, so I was happy to say at least they didn't think I was the older guy still, but they really miss Pastor Jerry. Some of them have been there year after year after year. But you can see here our chapel time. Miss Lori kind of led us in singing, and Misty Ryle, filled in several different ways. She filled in for Karen on the keyboard. She filled in as a small group leader. She also got 2 buddies of her own. So we had 26 kids with us. So if you go back to that, so you can kind of see they all enjoyed getting up on stage when we were doing our songs. And of course, anybody want to guess what their favorite song to do was? You're right, Father Abraham. So every chapel, Miss Lori had to finish with Father Abraham. So Lori, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the chapels and the craft and those kinds of things.
So what do you want to know?
And the tabernacle.
Well, it was a whirlwind few days. The kids were, I think, our best group. We talked about it, and they were just awesome kids. There were a few that were, a little rambunctious and full of a lot of energy and stuff, but they were not malicious, and that was good that we didn't have to continually deal with that over and over again. Like I said, I led the singing when I was up there, and it was fun because Misty doesn't do music the way Miss Karen does, so we just kind of limped through it the first few times and stuff. But we found as we went faster and faster, it didn't matter because Misty would just try to hit a chord once in a while as she kept up. So, and the kids didn't care; they enjoyed just getting to sing and have fun. And we did the tabernacle tours. We took them through the tabernacle, and I had some notes from Pastor Jerry on different key things to hit, and then I expounded on that. So I went from 4 pages to 12 pages. And but they were handwritten, so not as much as if it was typewritten. And the first group of kids, I took 3 tours. The first group of kids, I asked them if I bored them completely, and they said yes. And then the second group that came through, I said, "So did I bore you completely?" And they said, "Well, not completely." And then by the third group, I guess I must have gotten better at it because I asked them if I had bored them completely, and they said no. So I thought, yeah, maybe that's why. Yes, it was. So it was fun to do. And the crafts, we did the same thing as we kind of did last time that we showed you the artwork, and we did little chalkboard pieces that we glued to the thing. And then we had some bracelets that were pre-made from my work that we added some little charms to, that we had some lava rocks that we soaked in essential oils, and that was just a feat in itself to try to. We had these little plastic containers we put them in, thinking we were going to be so clever, and the essential oils worked as a glue, and so it just glued it together. And then Utah had to break all the tops off for us because it was an epic fail. But yeah, and they went everywhere. And they went everywhere, yes. But the kids loved it, and that was what was important. And yeah, I guess we did get some pictures of that, didn't we? Yeah.
So this little girl, she is always smiling. She's got one of the most prettiest smiles. She's just heartwarming. She has a really good heart, and she always really paid close attention in chapel and would do all the songs. I'm trying to remember her name, but she was Amir. Here's another one. That is Eliseo. When Eliseo first got the camp, he's my picture-perfect child. He did not participate in chapel at all. He watched everybody else. And all our big buddies this year participated, listened, did the perfect job. On his third chapel, he got up and started doing Father Abraham. Okay? And it was wonderful to see. And I walked over to him and I said, "Hey, I saw you participating. You did a great job." And he kind of got embarrassed, smiled, and put his head down. But he still kept doing it, and it was a wonderful thing to watch. Sorry.
One last thing, and then I'll just be done. One of the things I'd like to point out was during singing is that Utah, he'd be in the back, and I'd have the youth group come up and do the motions and stuff, and I tried to get Utah to come up there, but he's like, no. And I finally told him, I said, these kids oftentimes don't have a father figure at home, and they need to see that even if you're not perfect at it, that you're still doing it and you're still having fun. And so then Utah would get up there, and that's when all the boys started coming up. Then they're like, "Well, if Utah can do it, I can do it." And I think it just really changed the dynamic in the room. And I was grateful that Utah was able to make fun of himself, so the kids could learn that it was okay to not be perfect. You don't get out of this.
What would you like me to say? I was in the kitchen. Y'all know that already. I'm always in the kitchen.
No idea how important her job is. Okay, she kept us fed. Those kids would come. Is it dinner time yet? I'm like, no, we got 45 minutes. I'm hungry. All right. She had a very important job because it was just her and two other ladies feeding all of us.
It's more of a challenge at Camp Hope than it is at Joy, because at Joy you're just feeding one group of kids and it's going through. At Camp Hope you're doing two groups of kids, so you're doing hour-long dinners, plus you got to reset in between. And with it being only 3 of us in the kitchen this year, usually we have at least 5 of us. So we only had 3, and actually there was only supposed to be me and Trish, and then at the last minute, one of our aged out teens showed back up. So that was a real big blessing for us. Getting everything done, but we had such an amazing group of kids this year, and the helpers that we had were amazing. These are the girls and their s'mores. They love their s'mores, definitely. We went through so many s'mores.
And they love Miss Beth because she gives me the s'more stuff. So.
But we went through so many s'mores. Burnt marshmallows. Everybody loves their marshmallows burnt until they go to eat them. Then they don't want them. But it's fun to catch them on fire. So that's why we have extra.
He goes, "Utah, I burnt my marshmallows. Can you do them for me?" And she thought I was making them for myself.
So he.
Can I have one? She goes,
No. Okay. That's what I got.
So, you know, as he's going through some pictures here, of course, we did the s'mores and hayride. Then we're going to get to the fishing here as well. You know, it's always interesting. This is my first year at Camp Hope, and it's just enough different from Camp Joy that my head was swimming at times, because when we go fishing at Camp Joy, you take a small group fishing, and then another small group goes fishing, and then a small group goes fishing. But when we went fishing, all 26 kids, plus all their big buddies, plus all the other leaders were going fishing. And if you know me, fishing is really not my thing. Playing in the dirt with worms is not my thing, but that's how you catch fish, in case you're wondering. You have to put worms on the hooks, and some of the kids didn't want to do that. So, yeah. So Utah was doing a great job of getting all the poles ready and everything, and so we're out there, and I think, do we have Cole's picture of we had only one in our entire group catch a fish, and I was saying, yeah, no frogs this time, but Cole wrote a special thank you to the sponsors. They write a sponsor each time, and he said, "Thank you, sponsor, for my week at Camp Hope. I have lots of fun. I caught a bass today." He was so excited, and you can see that's a pretty good-sized bass. And, of course, sometimes when you tell the kids, we're going to remove the hook and throw the fish back in the pond, and that just doesn't make sense to them at all, that you're throwing the fish back. It doesn't make sense that we're killing the worms to get the fish. It's amazing the things you have to explain sometimes to 5 to 10-year-olds about what was going on. But as we keep going through, Scott, you know, Utah mentioned that the big buddies this time were amazing. It's because Utah is amazing. Utah set such a great example. This man, you can see him on the floor, you know, doing gymnastics with the kids. I was going to say, he was not sleeping. He was sweating so much. We're going to get to the end, and we'll see a couple of videos of him participating, because really, Utah was a big buddy, a group leader, the room dad. So in our cabin, this was the first year that Trish was really surprised that we had 26, like I said, 26 kids in our age group. 17 of them were boys, and 9 of them were girls. So that meant it was James Greener, young James Greener, Utah and myself, in a cabin with 17 little boys. Well, Utah and I got up early. We went up, you know, did our quiet times and those kinds of things up, and then we're like, okay, wake up time 7:30. So the first morning we get back to the cabin at 7:20. And thinking we're going to have to wake the boys up. The boys are all wide awake. Poor James is pulling out his little blonde hair because, yeah, only one boy's still in bed, and he was so excited. It's nice to feel like you're helping somebody, because Jim's like, "I'm so glad to see you in Utah this morning," because it was just amazing. But I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what you're doing here with the gymnastics.
You had buddies, and when you got down to the end of the line, oh no. You were supposed to dance in place. Then when it came your turn, you were supposed to do some dance coming down, whatever you wanted to do. Well, my buddy's like, "I'm going to mirror you." I'm like, "Come on, please." And we're supposed to be dancing in line. I'm trying to remember that, so I'm just trying to move. I did not know I was being recorded, or I probably would have stopped moving. So let's see. I'm not sure, because we went down this thing like, I think it was like 4 or 5 different times. So no, I never did the worm. I didn't do that. It was fun. The kids were having a lot of fun, and the little girl in the yellow shirt, her birthday was on the 4th of July. That's one of the 4th of July. We had 2 girls with birthdays on the 4th. I think this is about the point I noticed. It was fun. He also saw me do some flips. I'm not sure if he's got. Oh, it's coming.
Oh, here we go.
This is why he has to go to chiropractor.
Yes. Except for mine went out of town. I was like, they're like, "You can come in and see us Monday." I'm like, "I go back to work."
Good job, Blake. Okay, Utah, here we go. The whole church is watching. Wow. Okay, Keegan, you can do it. Come on, Keegan, you can do it. Jump.
Poor
Jump, Keegan,
Caden.
jump. There you go. Flip, no flip.
Okay, do you guys remember me telling you that I had a little boy that left the first night last year? That little boy was him. He came back and he stuck it out the whole. He had a blast.
There you go. Now flip. There. Oh yeah, good job. Yay, Keegan.
He kept trying to get in front of me. And he goes, youngest to oldest. I'm like, yeah, but you're supposed. Once you go, you're supposed to get behind me. That's where the line's
Let your
at.
body just roll on over. There you go. Good job. All right. Here we go, Dayon. Let your body just take you on over. Jump and go. Just roll.
This boy is awesome. He's been up there the last 4 years, and he is such a good-hearted boy.
Great job. Okay, Utah, one more time for the church. Here we go. There you go. Watch
And
your
again-
line. And make
You know
sure
what?
you
I
take
didn't
the
even
lead.
realize you were standing there.
Here we go,
I was
Keegan.
just trying not to
Jump.
lose
Oh,
it
there you
on
go.
the
Flip,
bar.
Flip. Well,
and my biggest worry was how close do I get? Because when he was coming over the bar, I kept worried that his feet were going to kick me. And the poor girl or poor young lady that's trying to help there, you know, she's like looking at Utah like, if I have to help him, I might hurt myself. So, but it was great to see. We also had the opportunity to, did you say that we also, one day we did dancing and the next day we did some taekwondo. So I don't know if we have any pictures of the taekwondo. Oh, okay. So yeah, so let's say if you can show those videos real quick of the taekwondo, because it's always interesting, you know, just seeing the different camps. But she does a great job of bringing in a group that does taekwondo, and then all the kids got to practice as well. But this older gentleman is going to break. It's a cement block that he's going to break here, and it's just one cement block he's going to break with his bare hand. And you should have heard the gas from the kids when he does this. You know, it's just amazing to see that. That's the next one.
Oh, that's the next one?
So he just broke that with his bare hand. And the next one.
When he hit him on the top of the head.
Oh, there you go. That is Colt. I am really bad with names, so a lot of times the girls are Sweetie and the little guys are Buddy. That way it makes it easier for me not to have to try to remember everybody's names, but I did a better job this year.
And so one of the kids, of course, afterwards asked, does your fist hurt? And he's like, no, it's fine. If you do it the right way, it's fine. I'm thinking, it's still got to hurt somewhere. That pressure in those points, you know, and that's why, you know, it was also interesting to see Trisha's reaction. You know, for each of us that were up there, Trisha was so proud. So we got a thank you letter. It says, Dear Avondale, thank you so much for all your time and investment into Camp Hope. We are blessed to have you come and help share God's love to these sweet kiddos. Enclosed are thank you notes from different ones that we thought you would enjoy reading. We would love to have your help again in the future. Thanks again for spending a few days of your year making a difference in a camper's life. And then Trisha wrote, Charles, Utah, Beth, Pastor Lori, everyone, thanks for your continued partnership for both Camp Joy and Camp Hope. You are such a big part of these camps and the ministry that happens year after year. Thanks for all the many ways everyone gives and invests. Love you all, Mike and Trisha. And you know, it was interesting. I'd already decided in my mind what I was going to say as part of the Camp Hope presentation. And then Pastor Shane finished with, it doesn't matter what age you are to come work. These kids are so important. They do such a great job up there. But we need more helpers. Like Utah said, he prepared the big buddies day one. He told them, if you guys are participating, we're going to all participate. But all our big buddies had to have 2 buddies because we just didn't have enough workers. And at Camp Joy, we didn't have enough workers, and some of our buddies had to have 3 buddies. You know, so if you think, oh man, I'm too old to do this, or I'm too old to do that. The other blessing that we had was nurse, Camp Nurse. Misty Ryle's mom, Marie couldn't do it, and she was so sad she couldn't do it. But Misty Ryle's mom had signed up to do it, but then she couldn't do it. And so it was very disappointing. And then all of a sudden, Missy's mom could do it. But then Missy's mom couldn't do it because Missy's dad had some issues. And then, make a long story short,
worried about insurance. The camp doesn't carry insurance for their nursing. She's not working at a hospital anymore, so she didn't have insurance that way. So she was trying to search for insurance so she could come work at camp for 4 days. And it was amazing. She found one policy for a couple of weeks that would could cost her a little over $1,000. So she didn't think that was worth it. So she called her nursing association there in Iowa, and they said, we know of a place that you can get a policy for about $55 for 1 week. And it was just amazing to see how God worked all that out, worked out the situation with Missy's dad, and Missy's mom came and was able to be our camp nurse. So, God provided throughout. And it was just amazing to see how God used each one of us at Camp Hope this week. It was also amazing to see, I want to show one more video with Leah. So the other youth that went with us was James Greener. He's not here this morning because he's had to go off to Boy Scout camp, and Leah's not here, but Leah performed during the talent show, and I was going to show her song here. So if we can hear this.
Take a seat, right over there, sat in the stairs, say you leave. The cabinets are bare, and I'm unaware of just how we got into this mess. Got so aggressive, I hope we meant all good intentions. So pull me closer, why don't you pull me close? Why don't you come on over? I can't just let you go. Baby, why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing my mind just a little. So why don't you just meet me in the middle? In the middle, take a step back for a minute into the kitchen. Floors are wet, taps are so run, dishes are broken. How did we get into this mess? Got so aggressive. I hope we meant all good intentions. So pull me closer, why don't you pull me close? Why don't you come on over? I can't just let you go. Baby, why don't you just meet me in the middle?
As you can see, it was just such a great opportunity for us. But the most important thing I want to share with you today is when we got a chance to give the gospel presentation, we had 26 little buddies in our group, and 21 of those 26 came forward to say the prayer of accepting Christ as their Savior. And that's the reason we do any of these camps, and that's why Pastor was still there, because, of course, he had put on PowerPoint the handful of gospel. If you've ever seen him do the handful of gospel, that's what I shared, and it's just an important way. And I used one of the little buddies as an example and used him. And 21 out of those 26 kids came up and said, I want to say that prayer, and I want God or Jesus to be my Savior. It was just amazing to see. And then one of the kids that didn't come up asked Utah, what did Blake ask you, Utah?
Blake comes to me and goes, Utah, I'm saved. Do I need to still go up there? I said, nobody, you just sit right here with me, okay? And he goes, okay. But he was our puppet master. He had a couple of puppets he likes, but not. Blake had actually been there, I think this year was his 3rd year. He was one of my little buddies, and but he brought his puppets up for the talent show. And he likes to put on puppet shows. And I was like, there's some ladies at our church that just love to do that too. But in one of the other videos, he had a red shirt on in my group when I was flipping. That was Blake. But him and another little kid come over and asked me the same thing after chapel. It wasn't during chapel, but Blake asked me during chapel and said the same thing to me. And he was like, was I supposed to go up there? I was like, are you saved? And he goes, yeah. I said, then you didn't need to. It's up to you. He goes, okay.
Also, we don't, except for being in the kitchen, but they don't usually get to hear much about what happens with the youth. But along the lines. I don't know what number of youth got saved. I do know that they had to pull people, or they pulled Trish from our kitchen and a couple of other adults because they had so many kids that wanted, or youth that wanted to be saved. And they did have 2 youth baptisms while we were up there. And Trish feels it's important because if they feel led by God to have that done while they're there at camp, that may be the only time that they have that chance. And so they do them down in the pool, and they called the parents to let them know, hey, so-and-so's wanting to do this. If you want to be up here, this is the time, so that the parents can have that chance to be there. But if not, they also record it so the parents can see it. But it was just amazing that, also the youth get to do that, have that chance. So
There is one thing I wanted to say. D'Amico, my other buddy, when I was walking him to our cabin, I was talking to him because I know he'd been, up there. Let's see, this year was his 4th year. Next year he's going to be up there with youth. I'm just sitting there walking, talking with him, and I was like, okay, I remember you went up on the stage last year and got saved. I was like, you can make it to church? He goes, nah. The only time I ever deal with church and God is when I come here. Okay? That's all he's getting. That's one of the reasons why this camp is important. Okay? Everybody knows how I like to take the little buddies outside the run if they're not tired before bedtime. Okay? I had 2 boys. Okay? Colt and Jay. How is the rest of his name? Huh? No, it was Jahad. The one cousin that didn't go with the rest of his. Jaden. Okay? Jaden runs up to me and goes, I'm not going to be one of the laps he was doing. He goes, I need to take a breather. And he looks up at me and goes, Utah, this is my last year. I was like, no, you're still young enough to be here. And he goes, no, my dad gets out in 10 months. And he goes, my mom got out 2 years ago. Okay, 2 years ago, he had both parents in prison. Okay, Colt runs up, and he goes, yeah, my mom got out last year, but my dad's in prison until I'm 18. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, I got 2 boys here who have probably pretty much grown up without their parents. Okay, these are the kids we're trying to save. This is why it's so important to me. The Lord has put something on my heart. Anybody that knows me knows that for some reason I have a big heart to this camp and the joy, and that it's to save these kids. I kind of feel that letting you know about some of the things I learned from these kids on the heartbreaking stories that they have, you understand why they're so important. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
And just one more thank you note from one of the kids. Thanks for paying for me to go to camp. I've got to go on a hayride. So Camp Hope, like Utah was talking about, is for kids, their parents, one or both their parents are in jail. And so sometimes we had one that it's grandma calling and making sure, hey, I've got 6 granddaughters, and they all need to go to camp. Different parents, but the one grandma wanted to make sure. And so they had a group of actually 7 from their family there then at that point, and this little girl was saying, thanks for paying for me to go to camp. I've got to go on a hayride. I went fishing, made s'mores. I went canoeing. Me and my buddy caught a fish. It was from the older group. I really appreciate being able to come to camp. I've come for 3 years. I've enjoyed all of it. Made some good friends. My buddies over the years have been pretty good. I've had a rough life, but to be here at camp, I've had so much fun, and I try to forget everything else while I'm here. Thanks for paying for me and everyone to come. It's good for us. Hope you've had a great year so far and keep having one. Next year's my last year, sadly, but it's okay. It's interesting, the hearts of these kids, and when we get a chance to touch them even at 5 to 10 years old, but even these youth, their hearts are touched by what's the compassion they're showed, the love they're shown through Camp Hope. And so we just want to encourage you to be praying about that. Maybe that's a ministry that you could participate in next year. You know, it's just a great opportunity for us as a church to participate, but even as individuals, you know, it just was amazing to see. So just thank you both, all three of you, so very much for Jamie and Shauna. Thanks for coming up Wednesday and picking up James. And, you know, James and Leah did a great job. Gabby and Misty were amazing. Oh, Ashley Gotts as well. Yes, Ashley was there. Ashley Gotts was there as well. I don't consider her part of the youth group because she's an adult now, you know, and that's the hard part sometimes is some of the kids are like, look at Ashley and go, are you an adult or are you a kid? And, of course, Ashley's like, I'm in college. I'm an adult. So it's always interesting that way. But we had such a great group. And Tricia just so appreciates our church and our willingness to do and fill in whatever God calls us to do. And I just want to thank you very much as a church for your participation through prayers, through the hard work of putting up the tabernacle and taking it down, and then just Utah, Beth, Lori, and everyone else that went with us.
I am camp dad, okay, which gives me a lot of responsibilities. Usually, most of those responsibilities is what he does at Joy, and that's why I kind of just relax and enjoy myself at Joy. But he helped me out tremendously this year. I mean, we had a great group of kids, but he took a lot of burden off me. I appreciate that. There are not words to tell you how appreciated I was of that. But thank you, Charles. I just wanted to let everybody know how great of a job you did.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and you can stand up or, give a clap if you want to clap for. I'm going to have Utah close us in prayer here.
Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this camp that we go up there and just make disciples of these little kiddos, watching the youth that have left our group and have gone up into the youth, the way they have matured and grown closer to you. And we just pray that in their walk with you, as they grow, they become leaders in your church. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.